Oh, hello. Revisiting the SL-2710, because nothing ever just sort of works. This was stored for decades, and I used it, filmed a video. Great, wonderful, started to use it, got chroma noise, especially on beta 1, but even on beta 2 and 3, just got a little bit of noise in the picture. And that progressed and got worse and worse, and now, this is the tuner, you can kind of see some noise moving around there, and those lines will shuffle around. So it's on the end to end. If I go and hit play here, you will see a ton of chroma noise.
You can get into a new brand of award-winning performance, Aaaand Grand Prix.
Just give me one night that's all I need.
So I started digging around, and the only, let me get off of this, let me get a commercial here. So the only voltage coming from the power supply, because that was my first thought to check, is a 9-volt regulated. Checked that, scoped out just fine. But then I just started playing around and I disconnected power from the tuner board, because I'm like, maybe the tuner's acting up and it's back feeding some noise. So this is the power connector for the tuner. Now watch what happens when I disconnect power from it. Tuner timer, actually. Also, there is a rechargeable NiCad battery on this board to retain the settings that somehow has not leaked. I will be removing this. I don't know if I'll replace it. I don't really see a point, but it's something to check if you have these old machines. This, at least in the old computer world, is kind of a ticking time bomb with retro computers. So interesting to see this in a VCR that's from like 1983, and this is 84, sorry. VCR from 1984 or even early 1985 that hasn't leaked or even shown any signs of leaking. Anyway, I'm really not sure how well this is coming off, because the problem does progress as it's been on longer and longer. But let's see if I can find some noise here. And then I'm going to unplug power from the tuner board. Cleans right up, and I'll plug it back in. Oop, didn't like that. Okay, so I have it paused, and you can see some chroma noise going across the picture. The camera really hides it, but trust me, it's very noticeable in person and in captures. And I can unplug the power from the tuner board. May not look like much, but that is cleaned up remarkably. Now, unlike the last time I looked at a 2710 and tried to take the power supply out and just completely failed because of the JIS screws, which I didn't know were a thing, and learned a lot from the comments. Thank you, everyone. I've since acquired what I believe is a JIS screwdriver or bit set. It's actually just like, I think Canadian Tire sold this. It's cheap, but it's got 2 sets of Phillips-looking bits, and one of them has sort of the flat bottom, and it does a fantastic job on all these JIS screws. So you need one of these for this VCR. The screw threads are so tight and the screws are so difficult to unscrew. Even with the proper bit, you have to just hoof it. You have to put in a lot of effort to get them to move. So if you don't have the right bit, it will strip. According to this horrendously blurry schematic, the T11 is the tuner board, and the regulated 9-volt here is the one that I probed with the scope and saw a bit of noise on. So that one, the 5-volt looked clean. That one goes up over to here. And over here we have a 47 microfarad at 16 and a 470 at 25. That's quite the ordeal to take out. You gotta take out a lot of screws. There's a side plate here you have to take off, fishing all the cables that come up through here to here. Maybe I did take this out on that other 2710, because I'm getting on a lot of deja vu about not having a good time. So let's find those capacitors first off and test them out. Further disassembly had to occur. 470 at 16. I always don't know how I feel about seeing 0 ESR. That's not really, this meter does that. My old one didn't do that, but looks pretty close. Let's check the other one. All right, I just realized I'm a little confused here. This is 470 microfarad, and this is C20. This is the one after the inductor. This is C19, and it's also apparently 470. and it is slightly low, but on the schematic it shows C20 as 47 microfarad, not 470. Okay, that was just a typo on that page there. C19 and 20 are both 470 microfarad. Well, they both test fine, and in hindsight, what would have been a smart move would have been to test or to check the voltage rail after disconnecting the tuner, because I just assumed, hey, it's power supply, but the noise could very well be coming from something in the tuner timer section. I'm gonna replace these anyway while I'm in here, even though they test fine, and they probably are just fine, just because it's a lot of work to go back into this thing. There we go. Didn't have any 16 volt, but those are both 25. You can go up in value a little bit as a treat. It's interesting how much bigger this old cap was. Well, shoot. Perfectly good lesson in troubleshooting. I jumped right to the power supply, and then halfway through the power supply I was like, I really didn't check to see if that noise was present when I disconnected the tuner timer board. So it's still there. Well, that's interesting. There's a DC to DC converter on this, which is basically just a small switch mode power supply to convert DC voltages, because if you convert them to AC, you can easily step them up or down and then convert them back to DC. So what voltage is the output on this? So let's follow this back, and we're gonna find, here's the regulated 9 volts that I saw the noise on. So this splits off multiple places. So it goes through a resistor here, so I could try pulling this resistor, and then it goes off to this DC to DC voltage converter. And if we follow it all the way up, and here, 35 volts to the prescaler. Yeah, that would require a step up. Okay, I'm going to disconnect this resistor here and see what that does. Don't you love these poorly scanned schematics? Is that R129? I'm going to assume so. Just some notes while I wait for the soldering iron to warm up. Yeah, R129 was the right resistor. It's that one right there. I have disconnected the timer board from here. I don't think it's anything related to the voltages going to the VFD, because the VFD is still working. It's just not receiving the timer information. I disconnected this battery afterwards, and I did check the voltage going to it to make sure there wasn't some crazy noise that this was acting as a smoother for. So this was disconnected long after this problem occurred. So let's pull this resistor, see what happens. Will you look at that? It's completely clean. So, had I looked at it sooner, yeah, that's a switch mode power supply. That'll create all sorts of noise if it's not working correctly. I wonder where it is on this board. Maybe, no, these are RF, they're shielded. There'll be a little tiny transformer in it. It's going to be under one of these shields here somewhere. Maybe this one. It really does help to look at the labels, doesn't it? I never did show what the noise looks like on the 9-volt regulated. So here, I'm just going to push this resistor in and take a look. Let's move this down. So that's a nice, clean, regulated 9 volts. And when I push that resistor in, there we go. That's the source of the noise. That's looking on the input here. So there's a 100 microfarad 10-volt capacitor there, but there's also the output on this side, which is a 47 microfarad 50-volt. So I want to take a look here to see what that looks like. Okay, I have it hooked on the diode that's the positive 33-volt output. Apparently there's a negative as well in a center tap. And yeah, look at that. That's nasty. Let's check the negative 33-volt rail. So here's the negative 33 volts. You can see the way the diode is going, the direction, and then the positive 33 volts. And following D104 and the negative 33, it actually goes up here. You can see it right there. So let's see what that looks like. Huh, quite noisy as well. What the heck? You ever seen a capacitor in a resistor spot? Don't know about that, but it's factory, so I'm just going to ignore it. This schematic is just weird, and maybe it's just me and someone can explain this to me. Simple thing. I thought this was 47 microfarad. It's 4.7 and it tests just fine. But if this is a negative rail, so it's halfway rectifying negative, and this is halfway rectifying positive, why are both these capacitors polarized this way? Why is C117 going positive to the feed from D104? I would expect this to be the other way around. Well, while I clearly don't quite understand what is supposed to be coming out of that, because I'm just seeing unregulated half-wave rectified pulses, the input capacitor, C121, that's 100 microfarad, is completely fucked. And really, I mean, you can tell by looking at the top, see how it's sort of shrunk like that? So this is, let's get zoomed in here. Oh, you stupid Pixel phone. 100 microfarad, 10 volt. Sorry, that's the closest I can get, which is actually this far away. I think my phone needs reading glasses. At any rate, 100 microfarad, 10 volt. Testing bad, probably kicked the bucket when I first powered this thing on and started using it. Pop a new one in there, let's see what it does. There's the replacement. It's 100 microfarad at 25 volt. Tests a little low, but again, this tester, whatever. It'll definitely be better than what was there before, which was basically nothing. Oh yeah, look at that crystal clear tuner now. Looks perfect. No noise whatsoever. If I go and hit play, beautiful. This is what it looked like when I first powered it on before that capacitor decided to die. Now let me try a beta 1 tape. Oh yeah, look at that. That is way, 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 way cleaner. So beta 1 tapes are where I was really noticing the problem. That's where I first noticed it. I started playing this cool recording from, I want to say 1980, that was done on a beta 1 only VCR, because it's, you know, a beta 1 recording, and it was awesome. And then I started playing through probably about 10 minutes worth, and that's when the problem showed up. So the fact that this is working well, perfect. I'm gonna say this is fixed. And as always, it was a one capacitor hiding somewhere in the VCR, and I just had to get the will to actually deal with it. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time, I guess. Bye.